Hello everybody, and thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I am Jim Coppinger, principal here at ZenTech Consultants, and this is part 6 of kind of an ongoing series we've been doing here that we call Why Bluebeam, right? We want to talk about Bluebeam Revu and why you guys need it in your companies and in your workflow. So look, Bluebeam Revu, it's a very well-known software, particularly in the architecture, engineering, construction space, right? Most everybody in that space uses it, but it's such a versatile tool that what we want to highlight here is that it can be adapted and used by anyone for just about any purpose. And what I want to talk to you guys about today is the idea of scaling and measurement, right? One of the things we all run into from time to time is that we get PDFs, particularly ones that have, plans or graphic images or aerial photos, and we want to do layouts or we need to measure things and check distances and sizes. And with a PDF that sometimes can get printed out down to like an 8.5 by 11 size, that's not always easy, right? So I'm going to show you a couple of ways that Bluebeam can help you do that. And I'm going to start with a basic floor plan. Again, I know in the AEC space this is common work, right? But sometimes within your own building you're doing changing up some offices, you got to move some furniture around, you want to see what's going to fit, you want to be able to do some layouts, right? So the idea is that I can take any PDF, doesn't matter what it is, right? Any graphic image, and I can scale it. So let me show you what I mean. So here on this floor plan, right, if I go ahead and I zoom in, you see that this corner of the building here, I've got a dimension that's already on the plan. It should be 21 feet from corner to corner. But if I go over here and I use my measurement tool, my length tool, and I measure that, if I just kind of go in there and say, hey, what's the length from here to here? See, I'm kind of hovering over it. It's telling me that's almost 833 feet. Well, if I go and start measuring things and trying to get correct sizes, that is not going to be correct. Okay, it's been printed out at a different size than it was originally drawn, and that's very, very common. So what Bluebeam will let you do, all right, is you see over here on the side, I'm on my measurements tool. I can go in and I can set preset scale. So if I have a drawing that is actually set to a specific scale, you see that it's got all of the standard engineering, architectural, and metric scales already built in. So if your plan already has that scale set, you can just set it to whatever you want. The other thing that you can do is you can calibrate. Right? I can easily go in and say, look, the only dimension that I know for certain on this plan is that from this corner over to this corner, right, it should be 21 feet. So I can just click calibrate, and Bluebeam says, hey, just pick any 2 points that you know the distance between, and I'll set all the measurements from there. Well, I can't get any easier than that, right? I say, okay, so I know, right, if I go in, I calibrate, and I go from this corner to this corner, it says, okay, what should that be? I'm just going to tell it 21 feet, and I just apply my scale. Now if I go in and I measure, remember before it was 833 feet from corner to corner. If I go here and I go from corner to corner, oh, look at that. See it? It's telling me right there it's 21 feet. So yep, I know that one is absolutely correct. This whole drawing is now set to scale. It's that easy, right? Everything that I draw and measure and lay out is going to be at the actual real world size. So I'm all set. Now, a couple other things I do want to show you that Bluebeam will handle for you. Sometimes what happens is we wind up with things like, enlarged plans. So you see here I've got on this particular drawing, there's an enlarged plan of this elevator area. So you can see it's the same area, but at different sizes on the same page. Well, we scaled the overall plan. So I know that if I measure in here, everything's going to be fine, right? So if I go in and I measure, right, I do a length from, that wall over to that wall, it should be 9 feet 2 inches is what it's showing me right there. Okay, but if I go in and I measure that same area over in the in the corner here, right? Obviously this is much larger. So if I do the measurement, it should be 9'2", but you see that it's actually reading as 19'5". Okay, not a problem. I can go in and what I can do here is I can create a viewport or smaller areas with different scales. So I'm just going to add a viewport, and it just says draw a rectangle to define your viewport. And I'm going to say, look, inside of this box it's a different scale from here to here. Okay, and I'm going to use a custom one here, and I'm going to calibrate it same way. And I'm just going to say, look, from the center of that wall to the center of that wall, that is supposed to be 9 feet 2 inches. And I just apply that. And now you see it kind of highlighted that area for me. Now there's a different scale there, so I can easily go in. Now if I check the distance, even though they're different sizes when I measure them, look at that, 9 feet 2 inches, right, on both. Even though they're on the same plan, same drawing, different sizes, I'm getting the correct scale. It will adjust for whatever's inside that area. And I just want to show you guys overall, right? So if you get into something like I said, you know, a lot of us don't deal with construction drawings and floor plans, but even if you just go to something like Google Maps, right? Maybe you're working in your office or a school or whatever you're doing, and you want to get an idea of some measurements or some distances, right? And you're not sure what they are. That's okay. So let's say, you know, in the school we're thinking about like, hey, we want to put some fence along the back here, and I'm trying to get a price. But everybody wants to know, how many linear feet of fence do you need? They need to know that in order to give me a price. Okay. Well, I don't know what the scale is here. I don't know, but I do know I measured the side of the building from here to here, and I know that that's, you know, 85 feet. Okay, I can just calibrate that and say, look, right, from this corner of the building to this corner of the building up here, that's 85 feet. I apply that scale. Now, when I go in and I start doing things like layout, right, now I can go in, right, and I can do something like a poly length. You see, I can go in here and say, look, I want the fence to go kind of from, you know, this point roughly over to here. It's going to bend out here, come over to here. It may not be absolutely perfect, right? But this is great. And I can just double click here to end and say, we want fence that goes to there, right? And if you kind of, you know, it's, my colors are a little off there, but generally you can see it's giving me all the individual lengths for the fence. Each segment, it's 157 here, it's 48, right? And then at the end, it gives me a total of, it's 548 feet, 9 inches of fence. That's what I need. All right, and that's the kind of thing that you can do with Bluebeam Revu, regardless of what kind of plan you're working with, right? Whether it's just a scanned image or an aerial photo that you pulled from, you know, an online source, or it's a floor plan or a sketch that someone gave you of your cafeteria and you're trying to do a furniture layout, it doesn't matter. Any graphic image can be scaled. Right? And that's one of the reasons why you guys need Bluebeam. Hence the reason we try to stress to you guys, why Bluebeam? That's one of the reasons why. I'll see you next time.